You didn't read that wrong. I'm a fan of Cheeto Hitler. Now, to be clear, before you Confederate flag waving, heritage not hate believing, we believe in states' rights unless it's Texas trying to overturn the votes of swing states, face ass people coming here thinking you got another one, like I'm on the blacks for Trump train. That's not it. I can't stand the guy. I think Donald Trump is a horrible, selfish man, but I also think he's a genius, and you don't have to like someone to be able to admire their genius. For the record, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm independent because I think a two-party system is a scam, but that's a completely different video for a completely different time. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and he asked me a question. How is it that people could vote for Donald Trump, and the majority of the people voting for him are voting against their best interest? And I just had to play devil's advocate, and it was easy. See, Donald Trump is a genius because of how he plays the game of power. And when I say power, I mean the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. 48 Laws of Power is a book that was released in 1998, but I didn't really get wind of it till about 2007, 2008. And I love it. It is literally my favorite book. It's a book that teaches you how to live your life by obeying 48 rules or laws, and it works. But if you aren't careful, it can ruin your life. And I know it sounds kind of dramatic, but it's true. It's a book that, well, you really wouldn't really get it until you read it yourself. So I'm going to leave a description, or I'm going to leave a link to the book in the description below. So check it out, and I'm sure you can probably find a synopsis video somewhere else on YouTube. I'll try to find one of those and link it as well in the description below. These 5 laws of power is the reason that Trump was able to become president. But on the flip side, there are about 5 other laws that he follows or ignored that pretty much cost him the presidency, but that's a completely different video that will probably release a little bit after this one. Now, I'm not exaggerating when I say that if I were to try to paraphrase these laws for you, it would be doing you a disservice. So I'm going to literally just read directly what the law says, and you can kind of put together how it pertains to Trump. Law number 6. Well, the first law that Trump uses is law number 6. Court attention at all costs. As everything is judged by appearance, you must stand out. Make yourself appear larger, more interesting, and more mysterious than the masses. One way to do this is to surround your name with sensation and scandal. Bear in mind that notoriety of any sort brings power. It's preferable to be slandered than to be ignored. I don't think I have to explain exactly how that one pertains to Trump. Some of these are just so blatant that you completely understand. And this wasn't made after Trump became president. You can go and find the book. I'm going to put a link in the description, and it literally says that. The second law Trump uses is law number 7. Get others to do the work for you, but always take credit. Never do for yourself what the efforts of others can do for you. Use their wisdom and knowledge to further your own cause. In doing so, you will appear intimidatingly efficient and knowledgeable. Ultimately, those who worked for you will be forgotten, and you will be remembered. Donald Trump's father, Fred Trump, built the Trump name, and he's the one that everyone thinks of or thought of whenever they think of the Trump brand. It is reliable, it is luxury, besides the whole it's racist thing. It's a name that became synonymous with gold. And instead of following in his father's footsteps completely, Trump only went halfway. Instead of actually being the developer and building these buildings, he just licensed the name that his father built and made millions from it. The third law that Trump uses to his advantage is law 17. Keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. Humans are creatures of habit who look for familiar patterns in the behaviors of others. By acting unpredictably, your opponents will tire themselves out by trying to predict and analyze your moves. This means occasionally striking without warning. When you act predictably, you give others power over you. If you act surprisingly, they will feel that they don't understand you and will be intimidated. Trump is a norm killer, and I think we can agree on that. When they asked him to show his taxes, like every other president has done before him, he just said no. When they asked him to divest from his businesses, like every other president before him, he said no. He really doesn't care. What a lot of people liked about Donald Trump is that he couldn't be controlled. Well, He can be controlled, just not by Americans. Look at what happened recently with the stimulus talks. Trump decided to all of a sudden just call for $2,000 per person as opposed to $600 per person. And I agree with that. $600 isn't really gonna do much for too many people, but Trump could have called for that months ago, but he didn't. And there's a reason for that. It's political theater. You have Mitch McConnell, who's done pretty much everything Trump has asked this entire presidency. All of a sudden, Trump decides it's politically expedient for him to throw Mitch McConnell under the bus, so he does it. And instead of just going along with this $600 proposal, Trump now says $2,000, even though he has no plans whatsoever of actually passing that. It makes Trump the good guy and everyone else the bad guy. You gotta kind of ask yourself, how is it that they don't really see that he's going to bite them at some point? That's just what snakes do. The fourth law that Trump uses to his advantage is law number 20. Don't commit to anyone. Make sure the only cause you commit to is yourself. Maintain your independence at all costs. This allows you to play people off against each other. When you hold back from joining a cause, you create a sense of respect because you appear untouchable. You gain a reputation for independence. See, this law is the reason that the Trump White House has more turnover than a Nevada mattress. Trump doesn't care about anyone but himself, and it doesn't matter what you've done for him. If he doesn't like you in that moment, he'll throw you under the bus as if he never knew you. Jeff Sessions is a good example, and so is Michael Cohen. That's another great example. Look at William Barr. He got the job as the AG because he sent in an unsolicited 20-page letter to the Department of Justice basically saying that the Russia investigation, I don't know why I just had a brain fart there, was a hoax or without merit because the president can't commit a crime. He said that and got Jeff Sessions up out of here. The fifth and final law that Trump uses to his advantage is law number 27. Play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. People want to believe in something. By inventing yourself as this cult-like entity, they will follow you and give you untold amounts of power. To become such a figure, you need to follow these steps. First, keep your words vague and simple, but full of promise. Emphasize enthusiasm rather than the intellectual and the rational. Structure your group in accordance to the forms of organized religion. Disguise your sources of income. Create an us versus them dynamic. I mean, yeah, I don't really think that one needs to be explored much more than just reading it. But hey, I could be wrong. So how about you leave me a comment down below and tell me what you think about this short list of the 5 laws that Trump used to get to the presidency. Oh, before I forget, I actually have a bonus for you that I'll put in the next video on how Trump lost the presidency according to the 48 laws of power. The first law that Trump ignored, which led to him losing the presidency, is law number 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. What comes first always seems more original than what follows. Don't get lost in the shadows of those that came before you. You must establish your own name and identity by not following the same course of your predecessors. I think the next video is going to be pretty interesting. What do you think? Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment below if you agree with this list, if you disagree with this list. Oh, and if you're familiar with the 48 laws of power, I want you especially to leave a comment below and tell me which laws do you think better represent Trump's rise to power and ultimately to the presidency. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're notified every time I upload a new video. And yeah, that's the end of this video. Peace.